In this video, I really want to talk specifically about fishing water temps between about 50 and 60 degrees during the springtime. So depending on where you live in the country, you may have already experienced this. You're probably experiencing it a lot right now. And some of you guys have maybe yet to experience it who live up in the north. But this 50 to 60 degree range is a really prime range to go out there and catch some bass. So I want to talk specifically about this water temperature range. Now, before we get into it, this video is brought to you by Gills TV. Gills TV is the content-based website and app that I have developed that its sole purpose is to help anglers locate fish. And it's not me teaching it, it is some of the best anglers in the world out there on the water, breaking down a body of water, catching bass as they are talking about it. So it's just a really good way of learning about the thought process of different anglers. And right now there are 3 episodes already up on the website. I've also got some other content up on the website, and I'm going to be dropping at least 1 new episode every single week. My goal is to get up there to where I'm dropping 2 and 3 episodes every single week. But right now, there's some other benefits to becoming a member over there. One, you get 10% off all fin fishing gear right away. You will get a coupon code for that. Also, I'm going to be doing a 1-hour live session with a pro angler where you can actually ask that angler different questions. So a really cool deal. I think it'll be a huge resource for anglers to just learn and to take their step up to the next level when it comes to bass fishing. So right now, up until April 21st, the subscription is actually discounted. You can actually pay $15.99 a month, and you will pay that inevitably. If you wanted to sign up after the 20th, so on the 21st, it jumps up to $17.99 a month. Also, real quick, anyone who is an annual subscriber gets a $100 coupon to fin fishing. So that more than cuts basically your price in half, and you can pick up some gear. You can pick up some USA made sun shirts, some hats, whatever you want. So I'm gonna leave some links down below in the description. I really appreciate all of your guys' support. All right, let's talk a little bit about just this water temp, this 50 to 60 degree water temp. And to be honest, there is a lot that happens between about 50 and 60 degrees. And one of the first things that I think is very important to understand about this particular water temperature is really the weather that has led up to this water temperature, because there's a number of ways that this can happen. For example, in the spring, you may have water temps that are just constantly getting warmer and warmer and warmer, where they kind of break in to the 50s and then jump up into the 60s. When you have that type of weather, you typically have a transition of bass moving from deeper water up into shallow water. Typically, to me, like 50 degree, that 50 degree mark is like such a critical mark in bass fishing, where I really believe a lot of fish are up shallow. Now, this can change a little bit if maybe you actually had water temps that were really warm. Maybe they were in the 65s, the mid 60s, and they drop all the way down into the low 50s. You may still have a lot of fish that are shallow, but these fish may be harder to get to bite. Where it seems like if you kind of creep up into the 50s, like if you have been 48, 49, 50, and then it jumps up to 52 or 53, those fish tend to bite a little bit better. It's like they are jumping up into that warm water, and now you can catch them on a lot of moving baits. And so, but between about 52 and 60 degrees, there is a lot of change, and primarily the change is that a lot of fish are really gearing up to spawn. And so I think that there's kind of this transition where a lot of times, kind of what I believe happens is that when you get into a lot of water temperatures where it's like 50 to like 52, 53, 54, 55, like we'll say 50 to 55, you get a lot of females that are moving up into some of the areas where they are going to spawn. And typically you can catch a lot of those females on moving baits. Baits like chatterbaits, swim baits, lipless crankbaits, anything. There's a lot of different moving baits that you can use, even top waters at times. You can catch these bigger females that are moving up. And so I personally think that, because I've seen it year after year, that a lot of these females will move up. And then when that water temp starts to jump up above 55, when it's like 55 to 60, I think you have a mass flood of males that come up. And so I don't think that those females leave. I think that there's just a lot more male bass that are in the area. So you will go from catching some big fish to catching a lot of males. And a lot of these males might be a pound, pound and a half, 2 pounders. You know, where you're catching males, it's not that there's not females in it, it's just that the males are kind of hitting those baits before the females get to it. And I also think that females will feed up, and I've seen this, where you get on a lake where you are catching a lot of big females, and then it's like right before that spawn happens, right about 60 to 65 degree water temps, it seems like those females more or less just stop eating. I think they get to a point where they have fed up, they are ready to go, and now all they can think about is feeding. So it seems like you will stop catching the females and you start catching a lot of males. But then as that temperature starts to creep up into that 60 degree range, I really move from moving lures to a lot of plastic baits and a lot of slow moving lures like just a good old Texas rig or a Nico rig or a drop shot. A lot of slow moving plastic lures, once I get to about 60, is what I'm going to be fishing a lot, because these fish at that point are really setting up to spawn. And if you don't know the way that the spawn really happens, is males will actually create the beds, and then as the females are swimming around, the male will jump out and basically try to coerce that female to the bed. And that's kind of the process. And so sometimes you'll hear guys talk about, like in Florida, you'll hear them talk about in certain parts of the country, like, man, I'm catching a lot of buck bass, I'm hoping the females move up. I have been under the impression for years that it's not about the females moving up. The females are already there. It's just about the males getting them to where they are, to the beds. And so you'll go from flipping reeds and flipping laydowns, catching a lot of male bass, to all of a sudden you do start catching, you know, bigger ones. And the big thing, especially when you cannot see like beds or anything like that, one, you got to fish super slow. And two, I've talked about this before, if you catch a male bass and that water temperature is like 60 degrees, even higher than that, you know, if you catch a male bass, make sure you flip back to that exact same spot a number of times. I don't know how many times over the years where I've caught like a pound and a half fish, and it's so easy for us most times of the year to just kind of continue moving down the bank. And I think it's really important to put the brakes on, put your Raptors down, and throw and pitch back in that exact same area. Because a lot of times you'll catch a bass on a bed, a male bass, and that female's sitting right there, and that female will move up, and if you pitch back into that area enough times, you'll catch that female. And so then you can go to catching a big fish. You see this a lot in some places and more than others. Like I said, Florida is humongous for this, where you will pitch in a patch of reeds, a little hole in the lily pads, whatever it may be. You catch a 1 pounder, you pitch right back in there, you'll catch an 8 pounder, a 9 pounder, a lot bigger fish. And so during the 50 to 60 degree range, there is a lot of change that is happening in kind of that range. But I am primarily focusing on shallow water in the springtime. If I'm in 50 and 60 degree range, you can typically go out there and have a lot of fun in those mid 50s and below. And then when it gets up there closer to 60, you really have to slow down. So guys, I hope this helps you to understand that 50 to 60 degree range. And also don't forget to check out Gills TV, which I'll leave linked right over here. Hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I will see you in the next one.